So when someone starts playing Osu, a common first reaction is that they click on the circles with their mouse buttons. And soon after, they learn that using the keys for clicking input is a lot more versatile and efficient, and end up switching to that for the rest of their Osu career. Currently, I play with tablet and keyboard, but for the entire first year of playing Osu, I played almost entirely with mouse. Eventually, I started using the keys for long bursts or streams, so by technicality my playstyle was a hybrid, but it was still a majority of mouse clicking, so I did consider myself a mouse-only player for the most part. Now again, I did decide to switch away from this playstyle over a year ago at this point, but I think I was relatively successful with the playstyle. That being said, I did have some bad consistency and accuracy weakness, but I don't really think that correlated to my playstyle but other bad habits, but that's besides the point. I found a survey conducted by Andrew RK on the Osu game Reddit, which showed that only about 53 people out of roughly 2,400 responses played a style involving mouse clicking, which is about 2%. So to answer the title of this video, do I think that playing mouse only or a mouse clicking style of play is viable for long-term Osu improvement? Well, the short answer is yes, to a certain degree. But I think that the answer to this question isn't so black and white, and that there is room for discussion when it comes to something like this. For starters, the learning curve is a lot steeper than playing with keys from the start. Because your input is entirely or almost entirely on one hand, it means that you're forced to aim correctly and time your hits correctly with only that hand. This isn't such a problem if you're willing to be patient with the process, but my opinion is that getting polished and consistent gameplay will take you longer than by using the traditional playstyle. Consistency, as I just mentioned, is a skill that I personally felt like I wasn't able to acquire easily due to my choice of playstyle. This can be said for even people who play with mouse and keyboard, but mouse drift and the lack of an absolute input that a tablet offers is a real drawback for the mouse playstyle. Trying to play long maps or prolonged fast jump sections was difficult due to this, and even though this issue isn't specific to mouse clicking or mouse only, I think that is still worth noting because it's just that big of a problem. There is a reason that only 2% of people play with mouse clicking, and that simply is that the playstyle is just not as consistent or versatile as its counterparts are. The keys allow for easier control of your tapping and less opportunities to make mistakes such as double clicking, and the tablet offers an absolute input method that doesn't lend itself to problems such as mouse drift. This isn't to say that these playstyles don't come with their own downsides, but I think it's generally just understood that this is a more consistent way to play, and the fact that most people play like this just goes to show that. Personally, while I was still mouse clicking, I definitely started to see more and more downsides to the playstyle as I got better and better at the game. Eventually, I felt like I'd hit a plateau, and the only way I could escape that plateau was by switching playstyles, which is ultimately what I did in the end, and it did end up working. So given my thoughts about this topic, does that mean I'm saying you shouldn't play with mouse only or use mouse clicking as a viable playstyle? Not necessarily. But I think that if you're not already set on playing with it, or if you're considering switching to exclusively the keys, I think the generally better option is to use the key inputs, because there will just be less of a chance that you'll end up feeling like your playstyle choice is stunting your progress. Even with all of this said, I don't think that your playstyle of choice is as big of a barrier to skill as actual effort and consistent practice is. If playing mouse only or mouse clicking is something that you like to do, keep doing it. It is entirely possible to become good at Osu even with a non-traditional playstyle. For instance, the player Gasan WW plays with only mouse and hit a peak rank of 150 in 2017. Even though he's decayed to over rank 1000 at this point, I don't think anyone can overstate how good he is at his playstyle, and it's pretty obvious that he's amazing at the game, even with a non-traditional mouse-clicking playstyle. It doesn't really matter what playstyle you have, as long as it's a little bit practical, I'm pretty sure you can make it work. So just to recap my thoughts, I do think that mouse-clicking playstyles do offer a lot of downsides, but I don't really think they eternally doom you from improvement, just that you may hit a plateau, or you might feel like your playstyle is keeping you from improving. Although if you really like the playstyle, I think you should keep doing it, because as long as you're dedicated, I don't really think there's very much stopping you from becoming a good player. But that's about all my thoughts on this topic. I thought I would just make a short video like this because I do think it's something interesting, and given that I was a mouse player for a very long time, it's something that I'm interested in sharing and seeing if anyone else has any similar experiences. Let me know in the comments if you play with mouse and how that's going for you. But other than that, that's all I really have to say. Thanks for watching.